Hi, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and I'm here in Atlanta for the Repairing the Ruins conference for the ACCS, the Association of Classical Christian Schools, and I'm here with one of the founders of ACCS, Doug Wilson. He's a pastor and author of, and I don't even know how many books at this point.
I don't either.
I remember once I was interviewing you, and you told me you write in order to make the voices in your head go away. Yeah, that's
the other thing I say is I write the same reason that dogs bark.
like you're on your blog. I first encountered Doug's writing. I was thinking about this the other day. I think it's 25 years ago with his Recovering the Lost Tools of Learning. Which there is a Minneapolis version. Sorry, the Lost Tools of. All right, we'll leave it there. I couldn't help it.
Luring.
It's one of the most influential books, if not the most influential books in education in the last 30 years. You and Dorothy Sayers were quite the 1-2 punch.
Right. She knew nothing about it.
Yes.
She was already in heaven.
Right. And it's so funny because she did comment, I have no inkling that it's going to...
No expectation. I have no expectation that anybody will be foolish enough to try this. She was not banking on it.
Well, challenge accepted. Yeah. Absolute must reading if you haven't read it, if you're interested in this classical Christian renewal. But Doug's been gracious to be on our channel a number of times in the past, and now we get to chat in person.
This is great.
Yeah, wonderful to have you. What are you speaking about tomorrow in your plenary session?
What time it is in the light of eternity. So the problem with right-wing reactionary, revolutionaries are impatient by definition, but reactionaries are equally impatient. And Christopher Dawson once said that the Christian church lives in the light of eternity and can afford to be patient. Nice. And so how do we fight in the moment, which we need to be fighting because things are critical. We need to be fighting, but we need to be fighting under a transcendent sky rather than just superficial talking points. So my argument that I'll be presenting is that classical Christian educators are arguing for the West. They're at the tectonic plate level. And right-wing reactionaries, whatever good points they might make, are talking points. They're talking about curb appeal and moving the bush and painting the shutters. And we're talking about earthquakes, right? And so I would regard the true culture. Andrew Breitbart said that politics is downstream from culture. But culture is downstream from worship. Right. But then in between worship and culture is culture formation, which is education. And I want to tell the people that if you were to talk about the people who are doing the most serious work to fight the culture wars, they're in this room. That's what education is all about. And sadly, some classical Christian school teachers say, I don't want to be in the culture wars. Right. I don't want to be involved. I just want a quiet classroom where there's discipline, and I love to teach the Odyssey, and I that kind of thing. But that's kind of like saying, I want to buy a little cottage I want to write my novel, and I want peace and quiet. So they buy a little cottage in 1944. On Omaha Beach. On my little getaway, early June.
Nice quiet day.
What a lovely. I think it was Trotsky. You may not be interested in war, but war is interested in you. And if you care about permanent things, if you care about transcendental values, the Most High God, and you believe that has a cultural impact, then you're in the thick of it. You
can't get away from it.
You can't get away from it.
And it's so ahistorical in the sense because Paideia really was the polis in microcosm, wasn't it? Or I forget who it said that education is the transference of civilization.
Yeah.
And in all of its guise. And so the idea that you could kind of sequester the political public realm from that. It's impossible.
So in Ephesians 6, Paul says to fathers, bring up your children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And one of those words underneath nurture and admonition is paideia. And paideia is a big noun.
Yeah.
Right. So if I were talking to someone, what have you been doing? Catching up with someone. Well, I just finished writing a 3-volume history of table salt. Yeah. I'd say, friend, maybe you should ask a girl out. I mean, go buy her a snow cone or something. You need to get a life.
You need to get a life. That's right.
But if someone said, I just finished a 3-volume series on democracy, history of democracy, well, that's a big word. That could use a 3-volume treatment. Well, I use that illustration because in my library at home, I've got a 3-volume history of the word paideia.
Yeah, Bernard Yeager.
Yeah, and it's not a guy throwing his life away.
Right.
He's talking about something that for the Greeks was huge.
Right.
It was the enculturation of the next generation.
Right.
And then Paul tells Christian fathers to give that to their kids, the paideia of the Lord.
Yeah.
Well, and they might say, but there is no Christian culture to pass on to them. And he would say, exactly. That's how you get one.
Right.
You start.
Yeah, it's not a paideia of the Greeks. It's not a paideia of the Romans. It's a
paideia of the Lord. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, right there. I mean, there's a vision of Christian civilization right there, isn't there?
Yes, I think it necessitates. What Paul said there necessitates what actually happened over the next 1,000 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Literally the birth of a whole new world. Speaking of, we were just talking before we went live here. I came back from Brazil, Ralph and Jim there, and Dave Goodwin, and you know all about it. I think actually I talked to some guys. You were there.
Yeah, I went down there.
Yeah. Elmer, I think it's Elmer. He says hello.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
Yeah, he's a great guy. But 8 years ago, they had 0 classical schools. Now, I mean, it was hard to get a straight number. I got 40, 50, or 60. And then it seemed like they all had waiting lists of several hundred. Dave I saw his face when he was talking to people, and they said, oh yeah, we started last year, and now we have 600 students. Something's going on down there.
It's massive.
It's mad. There is no other word for it. What do you make of that? That's insane.
Well, I think that Brazil, for many reasons, Brazil is the size of the United States.
Right. It's the second largest Christian nation on the planet.
Yeah, it's huge. And I flew there from Dallas. I flew to Sao Paulo.
It's a long flight.
But it was like 10-hour flight, most of which was over Brazil.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a huge country, and they have many of the same dynamics, upheaval, political dynamics. All the Trump stuff here and the Bolsonaro stuff there, and the hard leftists. There's a fight going on for the soul of Brazil and the future of Brazil, and it's gotten a lot of people aware that this education is relevant to all this, right? And we're done having the people that we don't trust to manage our roads.
That's right. That's right. You don't deserve roads anymore now.
But here are all my children.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's having your kids educated by the DMV.
Right. That would actually be a step up, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, the parallels are pretty crazy. The way they put, they had their own crazy election 22. The way they put Bolsonaro in prison afterward. Like what they tried to do with Trump, they tried to kill him. They stabbed him and all that sort of stuff. And it was really neat. When I was down there in 2018, they were all homeschooling, and they smiled and said, it's illegal. And I said, so how are you doing this? And they're like, well,
I was already in favor of it. Don't need to sell me.
Right. Bro, how you doing? Well, let's see. And I remember them saying, let's see them enforce it. I'm like, you're my peeps. I love you guys. You're amazing. It is incredible. But it's spreading beyond. We're getting word of Colombia and throughout Latin America. Obviously, Rafiki in Africa.
Mexico.
And now we're starting to see the schools pop up in Hungary and Poland and even Ukraine, Western Ukraine.
ACCS has their first accredited international school in Hungary.
Yeah, in Budapest. Yeah, we were just there. It seems like this was ground zero for a civilizational renewal of the West.
That's right.
It's an astonishing thing.
Yes.
And you were at the forefront of it. What is it? God draws
straight with crooked lines.
Like
I feel very grateful. Very grateful.
Yeah.
But I'm basically a pebble at the top of an avalanche. And no one drop could feel responsible for the flood. But God was kind, basically.
It's glorious. It's so beautiful. It's amazing to see. Speaking of these civilizational projects, I actually want to chat with you a little bit about the rising civilizationalist world that's happening, and I want to get your take on this. So a lot of scholars are talking about how China and Russia are civilization states. Modi in India is, introducing Hindutva, which is kind of like a Hindu version of Sharia law. So they're not secular, they're not liberal, they're civilizationalists. And it seems to me that classical Christian education is precisely the kind of education for just such a world. That's what we would need in such a world. So if the 21st century is genuinely, like Huntington talked about, a kind of a clash of civilizations, of civilizational visions, what does it mean to educate our students for civilizational confidence rather than just personal virtue? God bless personal virtue. We need that.
Yeah, we're not against it.
We're not against it, exactly. And that's what I get into, arouse some people on. I love human flourishing. I talk about it all the time. But it seems like for such a time as this, we also need, like we're talking about, this full paidetic civilizational consciousness.
So I think this is a key issue. In Christian societies, historic Christian societies, the thing to avoid is what I call cut flower civilization, where it's a beautiful vase, it's a beautiful arrangement, it's lovely, altogether lovely, but there's no root ball. You snipped it off. And if you have a cut flower arrangement that goes back to Winston Churchill, or it goes back to 1776, that's not far enough. There has to be deep topsoil, and this goes back to the point I made earlier about worship. I don't think that Christian schools can flourish outside of a worshiping community. So the kids need to be going to school, taught by teachers who are going to the same church that the parents and many of the kids are going to, and they're worshiping God, and what they're doing on Monday and Tuesday is consistent with what they're hearing on Sunday, instead of pastors who are afraid to say anything about Christian ed because we have public school teachers in the congregation and that kind of compromise. And then the people, so what we need is a robust civilizational approach that says the root ball is critical. And the root ball is worship. Right. It's do we really believe this stuff? Not do we, I don't want to scratch and sniff Christianity. I want the real thing. And what we say in Moscow is all of Christ for all of life. And that means all of Christ for all of life, means all of Christ for all of education, every stage, every pattern, every era of child development, all of it.
I've heard you can't fight the culture wars without a culture, and you can't have a culture without a cult. You've got to have that cultus,
Right.
Not the cult of knocking on the doors.
Cultus, which
Cultus,
is
exactly,
which is worship.
Worship, yeah.
And this is similar. You can't have tank warfare without tanks.
Right.
You can't have naval warfare without ships.
Right.
And you can't really have a culture war without culture.
Right.
Now, there are many aspects of American culture, Western culture, that I've been enjoying. The Europeans react to enjoying how big our
the Norwegians.
This is a petrol station.
Or the Japanese when they're eating Texas barbecue.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. However, that kind of fun is not long lasting.
Right.
Without people who are going to heaven every week.
Right.
And worshiping God through Jesus Christ.
Right.
And it can't be happy clappy breezy
Right.
Jesus is my girlfriend music,
He said it. No, I couldn't agree.
But you invited me on.
Yeah, right. Darn it. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I just did the happy clappy Air Supply kind of music. I can't quite do it there, but it is amazing how I think we're seeing, particularly in Red America, how fun faith, family, and freedom is. That's really what seems to be conveyed with this World Cup. The world seeing how fun it is
to be normal. How fun is it to be normal?
Exactly. And just to be able to enjoy. Yeah, you get to celebrate your culture, your custom, your tradition. It's like a foretaste of what we see in Revelation.
And you can do it without being a bigot.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You could have them over and show off all the stuff, and then be happy to go to their country and have them show.
Exactly.
It's just.
I think there are studies out there that show that from the 2016 election, that people who had voted for Trump were more inclined toward appreciating other cultures and traditions and nationalisms than the globalist kind of liberal cosmopolitan. They love like third world stuff, but anything Western they couldn't stand.
Right. And people back in the early days of classical Christian education, we used to, now it's DEI and woke stuff, but back then it was multiculturalism was and I used to say, look, we start teaching Latin to third graders. The old joke about a person who speaks 2 languages is bilingual, and a person who speaks 3 is trilingual. A person who speaks 1 language is an American. Right. Well, we start teaching, exposing kids to cultures that are not like theirs, upstream from theirs, that are historically connected to theirs, but there are many, many different thought forms and different ways of expressing yourself. So they are reading literature, great literature from thinkers outside the Christian tradition. And so I would say we are actually practicing multiculturalism. And you guys, your idea of multiculturalism is everybody's a different color, but they all think the same.
Right, exactly.
Like a Benetton ad or something.
Exactly, yeah. And then some get to be ethnocentric, and then others have to just be sovereign individuals. You can't celebrate your ethnicity, and it's a jumbled mess. Now it seems we're seeing with some of these elections, particularly in New York. Now it's kind of like the third world, this clash of civilizations coming home, coming to our shores. It's pretty. And again, unless we have a very vibrant civilizationalist idea, I think we can end up being swept up by that.
But fortunately, and this is a ongoing, real-time, huge social experiment. I was just watching something about it's called the Boom Belt. States like Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas.
Yeah.
That whole
Idaho
belt.
Too.
Well, Idaho is right at the top of this, but it's not part of that belt.
Oh, the sunshine.
The Sunshine Belt. But if that belt were extracted from the United States, it'd be the 5th largest economy in the world. And you think, okay, a year or two ago, just for grins, I looked up the U-Haul rates from Portland to Boise, and then from Boise to Portland,
Oh.
and it was like 10x difference.
Oh, wow.
It was like $90 versus $900.
Yeah, supply and demand.
And you can see which way this is going.
Yeah.
I mean, California is emptying out.
Yeah, net migration, or net negative migration.
And then if Mandami does everything he wants to do in New York City, realtors in Miami are going to say, let's open a branch office.
We'll call it Mamdani, thank you, or something like that. Gracias, Mamdani. Yeah.
He'll start getting boxes of chocolates from Miami realtors.
Well, what is it? Is it ExxonMobil? Going all the way back to Rockefeller, 144 years in Jersey, gone. They're in Houston now. They're done. They admitted they haven't had a board meeting in Jersey in 40 years. They're done with it. And it seems to me it's the Achilles heel of urban socialism, is that, the moment you get into this tax spend and also this woke nonsense, we start demonizing people. They just say, if I just move 2 miles up the road and I go over that district line, I escape everything.
That's right.
It's just, they can't do it. So I guess that's why they have to shut down countries like Venezuela or Cuba.
But what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of these companies moving, jobs are going to move, families are going to move, people with mouths to feed are going to follow the jobs. And then there's going to be a resurgence of education in those places. And the blue states are already in a doom loop.
They're hemorrhaging.
And basically, it's a human tragedy because these cities were once
they're
beautiful.
Yeah. California used to be a red state.
I know,
Yeah, Nixon, Reagan. It's horrible. I'm just curious, just a bit of a pivot here with, because you mentioned like tanks and, and so forth. Pivot over to the idea of the relationship between tradition and technology. I want to actually talk to you about this a little bit. It's interesting because the civilizationalism has put us in like an AI arms race where, the idea is he who controls AI controls the world, and we don't want China controlling the world, right? And I bring it up because I think classical educators tend to be, they're talking a lot about technology, but they also tend to be, and God bless them, I think maybe because they have to be, but they're also a little myopic with it, talking about it in the classroom or maybe even abstaining from it, but they're not seeing it. They're not seeing technology as an expression of civilizationalist power and an extension. So I was just curious. It seems that this notion of technology as a form of civilizational strength, it elevates the question to a different level, almost a kind of post-mill sort of level. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I've been wrestling with this, and I'm yes, you've got a point. Yes, you've got a point.
Right.
So they're the enthusiastic early adapters who have all the discernment of a 5-gallon wetback.
Right.
They just I'm going to adapt as soon as I'm going to have my iPhone do my thinking for me, and they just are early adapted. And then the people, the Luddite wing, where they don't want to have anything to do with it, which I think, frankly, is going to be impossible.
Even the Amish are having to wrestle with it.
Yeah. So you got a smart buggy. I didn't want a smart buggy. Well, I'm sorry. That's all they make now.
That's all we got now. That's right. It comes standard.
Hey, that's not a horse. So basically, there are people who have drawn an arbitrary line on AI. Like AI is a freaky thing, but everything has to do with discernment. Like, what are you asking it to do?
Right.
And what are you refusing to ask it to do? So, and going back to what I said about worship and devotion, the thing that worries me about AI is the tech lords who want to rule the world. Yeah,
and transhumanism.
And transhumanism, and they want to be God. And so I typed into Grok, I'm a 10-year-old sophomore, and I'm struggling with my grades. Please encourage me as though you were Jesus. And Grok didn't hesitate, just within seconds, gave me a little devotional.
Yeah, it makes all the connections.
Makes all the connections.
Yeah.
And say, okay, you've got this technology that does not hesitate to pretend to be God, to pretend to be Jesus. And I would say that is wicked. That kind of thing is wicked. There's a pastor somewhere that simulated his voice with AI, and lonely parishioners can call up the hotline and get counsel, a pastoral chat with someone who's not their pastor. And I'd say that
not someone who's not a someone.
yeah, I would say that too is also that's wicked.
Yeah.
But if someone said, "Hey, we've got this gnarly bone fracture, and we need someone to read all the X-rays in the world, to tell us what to tell us what to do," I think that kind of thing is praise the
praise God.
That's dominion.
Yeah, that's
okay.
dominion. Yeah.
And so our problem is not that we are technologically adept. Our problem is that we're theological morons and technologically adept.
Right.
So that's a bad place to be. So and all the more reason for doubling down on building Christian schools and teaching kids to think. Be suspicious of the right things. Be welcoming of the things that the Bible doesn't condemn. Use discernment. Don't cheat. Don't cut corners. Don't have your AI write your papers for you. Don't have AI write your sermon for you.
Right. It's just a little bit of integrity and honesty.
Right.
So that's brilliant. No, I love that. It's wonderful. Because it's obviously something we're going to have to be. The theology of technology is going to have to be there. You mentioned they want to be lords of the world. There is something, people talk about multipolarity. Now there's something called technopolarity.
Okay.
So these wars of technology and technologists, and so really fascinating stuff. So just in line, wrapping this up, this line with the civilizational renewal, you've written, you've spoken extensively about the renewal of Christian society, Mere Christendom, your book, and a sort of Christendom 2.0.
Right.
So what's your assessment of where we are right now? We're in a pretty astonishing time, and it's, it's ambiguous and it's crazy and lots of dynamics going on, but politically, culturally, pedagogically, ecclesiastically, big picture, just give us your overall assessment of where we are right now.
It's like Christmas every morning.
Yeah. At one level it is. Yeah.
So there's a lot of, at the end of Hebrews, it says God is a shaker of things. Yeah. God shakes civilizations. And he says in Hebrews, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. God stress tests civilizations. And we're in the middle of one right now. Yeah. This is, I think, not to change the subject, but I think we're in the middle of a fourth turning.
Right.
A fourth turning. And I think this is not going to go on forever.
Right.
I think we're going to punch through. And I think that a lot of things that needed to go are collapsing.
Yeah.
And I'm good riddance for about 80% of it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. Yeah. There are some things that are getting caught up in, things that are being rejected or thrown out that I'm dismayed by. Hey, you're overreacting, baby bathwater thing. Mm-hmm. And so we have to hold the line there and be, like the resurgence of neo-Nazis. Wait. Come on.
Right. We got a lot bigger fish to fry than this nonsense.
So there are that kind of thing. But I do believe it's the old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. And we are really living in interesting times. And I believe that we cannot really envision what 10 years from now is going to look like.
Right.
But this is the thing. In Ecclesiastes, we're told in God's word, there's nothing new under the sun. None of the fundamental principles change. Worshiping God matters. Telling the truth matters. Working hard matters. Finding a woman and being faithful to her for the next 50 years matters. Bringing up your children. And then all of these it's just the basic blocking and tackling.
It's the patterns of reality.
Right. Yeah. And so those are the things that we hang on to. And Parents ask me now about certain things that we didn't, when our kids were little, we didn't have to face, right? So, entertainment things. And,
Big time.
if someone had asked me back in the day, what do you do about streaming services? I'd say, what's that? Right.
Is this fly fishing? What are we doing right now?
So basically, there are unique challenges, and you have to make adaptations. And at Logos School, we have no smartphones at school, right? Because we want you to learn how to do this. Not that smartphones are evil,
Right.
but not here, not here, not now. You have to do the problem yourself, right? And you have to do the research yourself. You have to look it up, and so things like that, where if you're handling things with shrewdness, and emphasizing the basics of integrity, and you are willing to adapt and utilize technology, I see. The fact that I can write a blog post and click on the button, and 30 seconds later, somebody in New Zealand is reading it.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Right. So how is this not like the printing press?
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. It's what you do. It's what you do. So here's another example. Sometimes when Nancy and I are on the road, we stop at a restaurant or something, and we're at a place where we got coverage. So we're checking our phones. The waiter comes up and I says, "We're not texting each other." So we do talk.
Yeah.
We're just. But one of the things that's striking to me is when Nancy and I were first married, I would go to work. She could call me during the day, and the phone was attached to the wall and had a long cord. She could call me, and I could talk on the phone, and we'd maybe once a day or something like that. Well, now our family has a text, signal threads and text threads, and so people say, "Well, technology is driving us apart. Everybody's in their little bubble." No. In our family, it's Nancy runs up to Spokane. She takes a picture of a dress. Do any of you girls want this for your kids?
Yeah.
And there's check.
Closer than ever. Yeah. It enhances.
So everything is, what are you doing with the tool? Is the tool something that you're using to cultivate actual relationship with your people?
Right.
So some of my great-grands are in Michigan. My grandson-in-law is in grad school at Hillsdale. And so just yesterday, Nancy called up her great-grandchildren and read them a book over FaceTime.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so is this driving people apart?
Right.
No. It's what you do with it.
Right.
So if you've got the buds in and you're listening to music all day and you're playing your own soundtrack for your own personal movie and you never talk to anybody, that is a problem, right? But it's a personal problem. Right. It's not a technology problem.
Yeah. It's solipsism.
Yeah.
It's really personal. Yeah. Where can people continue to follow what you're doing, your amazing work? And it's DougWills.com.
DougWills.com is the address.
Yeah.
The name of the blog is Blog and Mayblog. And we set it up so that if you open up the front page, there's a portal or a link to pretty much everything I'm involved with on the front page. Yeah. ACCS, Canon Press, Logos School, New St. Andrews. Yeah.
And publications. And like I said, we've lost count of how many books you've done and your talks and everything like that. And where you are. I seem to see, I even saw you on a magazine cover with Trump at one point. Didn't I see that?
That was Der Spiegel.
Was that Der Spiegel?
That was the funniest thing in the world.
Did you ever dream that? Did you ever? In a million years? Like in 2016 when he first ran, could you imagine looking and saying,
"No,
Doug, in 10 years, you're going to be on the cover with
Donald Trump, J.D. Vance looking angry, Pam Bondi, Pete Hegseth yelling at somebody, and then me in the right." those other people are they're looking at the cover. Who's that guy?
It's that guy. I was like, that's Rasputin. I think it was. Well, I thought it was wonderful, to be honest. I mean, let them do whatever they're going to do. But I think there's more truth to that, but in ways they can't imagine. Doug, thank you. It's always an honor to have you on our channel.
It's a privilege. I enjoy what
Everyone loves you and
enjoy your work.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.